Well, I promised we'd get to the other team in Chicago. They're getting more media fanfare. They're getting more interest from everybody, but I am genuinely concerned about what they're going to do this season. That's the White Sox. Chicago White Sox, I'm very concerned about how good they're really going to be this year. I think they have the talent and they have the pieces to be a 90-win team, to win their division even. But I am skeptical after this past season. They have a rookie manager, Pedro Grifol. Their biggest signing this year was Andrew Benintendi, which was a great signing, but that was only a 5-year, $75 million contract. So they haven't spent much money. They've decided to stick with their core, which produced an 81-81 record last year. And they're hoping for this team to gain their edge and get back into it. Now, their starting rotation, I think, is still going to be impeccable. Giolito, Lynn, Cease, Kopech, Clevenger. That is a great rotation. You've also got Kendall Graveman, who could be a swingman. Reynaldo Lopez, the same. So you have enough depth in case somebody gets hurt. That rotation is great. Dylan Cease was runner-up last year in the Cy Young Award voting. I think he should have won it. Lance Lynn and Lucas Giolito are comeback player candidates, who I think could be better than last year, and I think anything's better than a 4 or 5 ERA. Michael Kopech had a great year last season in limited time. And Mike Clevenger is going to be the X factor. Clevenger was dominant for Cleveland from 2015 to 2019, had Tommy John surgery, and last year was an average pitcher. Had about a 98 ERA plus, 100 is league average, a 4.02 ERA. Wasn't that great. Had the domestic abuse charge thrown out. Did not face suspension from baseball. And he's going to be your big X factor for the White Sox. If he could turn in previous years of performance in that 3, 4, or 5 slot, that's going to be huge for the White Sox. And it's similar to the Cubs. If every pitcher in this rotation performs up to their standard, if they perform at their best, this could be the best rotation in baseball. If Lance Lynn repeats 2021 form or 2019 form, if Giolito repeats 2018, 2019 form, if Dylan Cease continues off last year, if Kopech continues off last year, this team could have a 3.2 team ERA. From the starting rotation. They're going to be great. But the question is if and how. Will it happen? Will these guys stay healthy? Will they perform according to their best? Liam Hendriks is the closer, but he is currently undergoing treatment for lymphoma, so hopefully he's going to be okay. Until then, I don't know who they're going to use as closer yet, but there are some options, including Garrett Crochet, who is poised to have a breakout year in the bullpen. Potentially Jake Diekman as well, though he's more of a left-handed reliever, kind of a specialist. Spotty Grandal and Sebi Zavala are going to be behind the plate. Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets at first. Second base is the big key right now. A new article suggesting that the White Sox may end up cutting Leury Garcia, finally. Leury Garcia had a horrible year last year. Had an OPS plus under 70, one of the worst numbers in all of baseball. For some reason, he's still got at bats, still got opportunities, but I think this year the Sox won't need him as much, or if at all. They're going to have Romy Gonzalez up the middle. Oscar Colas is going to get some time as well. And Elvis Andrus, who was signed this year late, who had a great season last year in his half year with the White Sox, could end up getting the majority of time at second base. And I'll tell you what, with Andrus at second, and Anderson up the middle at short, Vaughn at first, and then Yohan Moncada, who needs to have a pretty good year this year. That's a nice infield. Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Gavin Sheets, Eloy Jimenez will patrol the outfield/DH spots. Let's be real here. This team is very similar, if not the same, to last year. A couple of different players have come into the fray. A couple of different players might be cut, like Leury Garcia. Other players from last year's team. That's fine. I think, though, there's a golden opportunity for this White Sox team to be great. I think if they can rekindle what they did in 2021, they're going to be a division winner. I think they have the talent, on paper, to win this division. The question is, like the Cubs, will they do it? And this is a pretty big prove-it year with lots of pressure for the White Sox. I don't think people grasp that concept. If the Sox go 81-81 again, they might blow it up. And rightfully so, because this course sucks, if that's the case. This is a prove-it year for a lot of players who we considered mainstays on this team. Yoan Moncada has to do something. 2019 needs to be repeated again because ever since then he's sucked. We need to see more out of Andrew Vaughn, Gavin Sheets, all these young players that have been hyped up for years for the White Sox. Now they're 25, 26 years old. No more baby coddling. No more training wheels. We need to see something out of these players. Luis Robert, who's done good in limited time, he hasn't played more than 60 games in the season. We don't even know what Luis Robert is. We could say we know. We've seen good things out of him, but can he play in 140 games, even 130? Don't know. Eloy Jimenez is a defensive liability. Can he focus on hitting and be better? Gavin Sheets, what are we going to see out of him this year? There are so many question marks. If everybody performs good or up to their potential, up to their standard, we could be watching a 92, 93 win team, an AL Central Division winning team, potentially an ALCS2 World Series type team. Rick Hahn said they'd win the World Series. He said we need to be World Series or bust. Does anybody else actually believe they're going to get there, though? I don't right now. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to think about this team. I don't know how good they're going to be. This is a prove-it year, though. And I don't think there's really much room for error. If this team goes 81-81 again, it's time to blow it up. And it's time to start investing in other players, other prospects, and you may have to start a rebuild again. And it shouldn't have to be that way. But at that point, it is going to be a harsh critique of Jerry Reinsdorf and Rick Hahn and Ken Williams, all of them. It's time for the White Sox to do what they need to do to win now. There's no more waiting around. My suggestion and my thought about the White Sox record this year is going to be 84-78. I don't think they're going to be doing anything significant this year. Maybe they'll sneak into a wild card spot with 84 wins, but I think they're going to need 3 or 4 more. And this American League all of a sudden has become so good, and the White Sox have just been passed up. The Mariners are good. Texas is going to be good. That's in the West only. In the East, you've got everybody who could be a threat. Last year in the East, the worst team was Boston, and they went 78-84. Worst team in that division was Boston. All 4 teams above Boston went above 500. All 4 of them. So you have to go over and leapfrog all those teams on top of it. Yankees, and the Rays, and the Blue Jays, even the Orioles are going to be good this year, believe it or not. The Guardians were great last year. The Tigers have room to improve. I mean, all of a sudden, you look at these situations, these teams, and the American League as a whole, and you're wondering, where do the White Sox even fit in? That's why they need to win their division. The White Sox are not getting a wild card spot. Similar to last year, the Sox were not going to get a wild card spot. They needed to win their division, and down the stretch, they screwed up. So they're in big trouble. And this is going to be a prove-it year for them. Everybody else has passed up the White Sox. Everybody else has passed them up. They have not grown. They've kind of stayed stagnant. 2021 was great, and they never improved upon it. And now we're in 2023. There's so many other young stars and young players taking hold of this game and other teams who are on the up and up, and the White Sox are still where they were a couple of years ago. Even the Angels could be better than the White Sox this year if they finally get their act together and have Shohei and Mike Trout and other players pick up the slack. There are so many possibilities and things that we have to watch out for. My guess, 84-78 for the White Sox and potentially a rebuild at the end of this year, and I hope they prove me wrong. But I am not confident in the direction in which they're going in, and I'm not confident in where they stand today. I'm worried about them. I love them. I've been a big fan of them past couple of years. I've been promoting them like crazy. I love the Tony La Russa hire. I love 2021. I was excited about what they could do last year. They proved everybody wrong, and they disappointed everybody. And you come into 2023 with the exact same roster. Of course I'm going to criticize you. Of course I'm going to be worried or concerned about what you're capable of doing. This is not the situation you want to be in. So I advise the White Sox to get better. I advise the White Sox maybe make a move at the trade deadline. But if they don't do better than last year, or if they're around 500, expect a rebuild in 2024.